All right, welcome in to the weekly Wednesday midlife stream. The idea of this live stream is to talk all things running, so you have something to listen to on your run. Oh, all right, just kidding. We're back. We're live. Hopefully, this one works. Usually, I wait till the middle of the live stream to have an error and then get kicked off, but we went ahead and did it. I front loaded the errors for the internet in this particular stream. So um glad you guys are already here. Some of you in here. Frank says tapering. Jen Piazza says, I'm dreaming of taper time. 2 more weeks. Now, the purpose of this live stream is to talk all things running so that you have something to listen to on your run. Some of you have reached out though in the last few weeks and said, I don't have YouTube Premium. Can you put this on Spotify so I can actually listen to this on my run? Just make it a podcast. Should I make it a podcast? That's something I think I really want to do, but I floated the idea previously to my wife, and she's got certain boundaries. One, I'm not to say your boy. Can't say your boy. I'm not your boy, midlife runner. I'm not your boy, Andrew. I'm not your boy. Your boy, it doesn't exist. It's not a thing. Also, I'm not allowed to have a podcast, really. I asked her, she said, well, yeah, that's great. That's just what the world needs. Another white guy with a podcast. So, yeah. Yeah, no, I see that. It's like everyone has a podcast. And you only listen to so many things. Anyway, can you guys hear me? I see people are in here. I reconnected. We'll see. We reconnected. That's what my middle child used to call it. But knock knocks. All right, today's topics. I wrote down a bunch of stuff, but I'm not sure I'm going to talk about it because last week I was like, oh yeah, we'll talk Boston. The cutoff just came out. Then I turned on and we went live, and it went the whole damn hour, and I never mentioned anything about Boston or the cutoff. Ironically, I am wearing the Boston long sleeve participation shirt that I got from last April, so I can flex on the little people and rub it in locally. Yeah, mostly. But yeah, I don't know. Really, I just make shit up as I go most of the time here. Don't tell my athletes. My kids, they already know. They know. I think I've told the story, but I would tell them when they're little and I'd say something and they'd say, really? And I'd say, yeah. I said, well, actually, I don't know. I just make shit up, man. I'm just making it up as I go, guys. And then one time we were driving and the littlest asked something about the sun, and I gave him the scientific answer. I gave him facts, FAX. I gave him the facts. And then he takes a beat, dot, dot, dot. And from the back seat, I just hear this little voice. You just make it up sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I'm just making it up as I go, man. I have no idea what's going on. So, anyway, a lot of y'all have marathons coming up. I do write down notes to keep me focused, just like topics I want to cover. So, whether we talk about them is another story, but Chicago's coming up. I got 5 runners running Chicago this weekend, Twin Cities. Okay, we got St. George. We've got Des Moines in a few weeks. After that, we have Marine Corps, October. Very busy month for marathoning, and the forecast is looking warm. It's looking warm for everybody. I have a half marathon selfishly in 2 weeks. It's going to be 70 degrees. Oh, I don't know how you're feeling about that. If you guys are starting to sweating about it. Frank, what are you tapering for? Let's see. Frank says tapering. I'm assuming you're tapering. Um, so Desmo Nay. Desmoines? Des Moines? Des Moines? Every time someone says Des Moines, Iowa, I think of this really obscure movie from the late 90s with Bill Murray called The Man Who Knew Too Little. I think that's a sleeper film if I've ever seen one. I used to quote it all the time when I was a teenager. Des Moines, Iowa? Where do you work? Blockbuster Video. where Des Moines, Iowa. Oh, he is good. This man is good. Oh, Frank, you're doing Chicago. That's so good. Um, it's saying high of 64 now, which is fine for me. That's good. Let me maybe we had a shift in there. That's great. That would be great for a lot of people. Sugarland is basically Houston, which is basically San Antonio. So I can look at San Antonio and kind of know, but I did add Sugarland and it is going to be warm. Ooh, okay. Yeah, my forecast is saying midweek next week. There's some rain and then it's going to drop into like low 50s, high 40s going into that weekend. That's good. I hope that stays. I want everyone to PR in Chicago. Maybe Mansell will break the record. Anyway, I am preparing. If you know that you're running this weekend and the cold front is not coming, I have some advice. I have some advice for you. I wrote this down. I was like, I'm gonna write some advice. And then it occurred to me, I have a rule that I generally try to follow in life. If when I'm going to give advice to others, I just need to take it. That's it. I could still give it, and then like most people don't give a shit because I'm really just projecting probably, and you can just do whatever you want anyway because you probably already will. But like with advice, I just need to take my own advice. Right now, I am finding the will to live, the will to run, the will to run this half marathon really hard. I get it, like because I'm not going to PR. So, um, and my wife's like, "Oh, you already given up? You haven't even started. You usually at least start the race before you give up." She was roasting me a little bit, and because I do every time, I'm like, "Oh, it's early on. It's too hard. I don't know. I don't know if today's the day. I don't know. Whatever." It's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go fight. And go fight for it." But I think I needed to just change and define what is successful. What is success? Everyone else I'm running against in the race also has to run in 70-degree weather. They're probably also heat adapted because they're probably local runners like myself. But maybe I could get a good age group time. Maybe I can do well against my peers. Maybe I can practice my pacing and see if I can show up at the finish line completely cooked, but barely. It's an idea. Just trying to find the motivation to really fight and not just sulk in self pity and mail it in. So, if you notice, also, I do sound a little bit like a man today, and I apologize. That's by accident. I have a cold, which is great for the taper. Does anybody have a taper cold? Is anyone fighting the taper crazies? I had a lot of phantom injuries for Boston. I needed a new kneecap. I needed a knee replacement. There was a lot going on, but I'm glad because I'm still 10 or 11 days out. So this is the time I want to have a cold versus the weekend right before I went. That's what happened to the Woodlands last year. Maybe it was the year before. Yeah, it was like driving down and I'm like, oh, this is not good. Chad says already enjoying the taper, coach. I love to hear it, Chad. Chad is fast. Chad ran Sydney. He's going to do Chicago. A little flatter here. It's exciting. Matt Byer says, can't see the race temps for Columbus half on the 19th yet, but the early part of the week has mid low 40s. Oh, that's looking really good. I think the week after the 12th looks, I mean, it's hard to say because it's the first. So we're trying to forecast 20 days and nobody knows, but it looks like across the board, the colder weather is coming the weekend after the race. Anyway, it's like the most boring thing you can talk about usually is the weather. So let's just open up with a 20-minute segment on the weather. So how's the weather? Cooler talk. I guess it matters more when you're talking about running because it's everything. So um, we can interrupt this conversation. Speaking of everything, to talk about some shoes. I got the Vomero Plus is everything. So I'm on the Supwell app and I don't usually write reviews on there, I got to turn on the camera later and just shoot some of these reviews. I'm running behind on the YouTube, but I said the Vomero Premium is no, that's not the Premium. Sorry, that's the Vomero Plus. I should get my shit in order. I should get my shit straight. The Vomero Plus is gas. And yes, I am completely aware that that is not my generation of slang. I like to be ironic a little bit. Sometimes it gets a little cringy. I go overboard. I walked into work yesterday and two baristas were talking, barista in a shift, and one of them said something about 6, 7, but like I wouldn't know. And I turned around and I go 6, 7, 6, 7, and like she started to short circuit, and she was like, "Oh, what?" And I was like, "Peep game and lock in." You think I don't know? I know, I know. You didn't know you were working with Michael Scott. Lo and behold, you are. And so, yeah, but I have a 15-year-old, so that's right on the line of Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So I catch all the skibbity toilet in Ohio's, and then the 6, 7s, and all the slang. I steal some of it. I remember the first time I heard fire like 10 years ago. This guy was like, "Oh yeah, man, Black Forest ham on rosemary parm or whatever something." He's like, "I was fire, fam." I was like, "What? What was that?" Oh yeah, fire, that's great, flames. So now it's gas, so now we're catching gas. Anyway, about the shoe, when we talk about the shoe, it's essentially the Nike Invincible 4, and it's an evolved version of it, and I think it evolved. Now, evolution doesn't really mean it's always going to get better, it's just going to evolve. And I've got the 1 here, this hand, and then I've got the Vomero Plus here. And you could see on the 1, it kind of narrows in the middle of the foot, and it wasn't necessarily really stable, and the shoe was super bouncy. It was moon booty. It was very fun. I liked the shoe a lot. I'd never used it for recovery. It was like the first Zone 3 banger that I ever ran in. I probably was running my easy runs too easy in them. I really enjoyed it. I put 300 plus miles in a white pair, and this is my second pair, and I maybe have 100 to 150 in this pair. I really enjoyed the shoe a lot. I never ran in the 2, which was an upper update to my knowledge, and I never ran in the 3, which I heard uh, was evolving more towards the stability, heavier side, less fun. And in continuing in that direction, a stability comes the Vomero Plus. And this shoe is a mid footer's dream. For context, I'm 5'6". I'm a short king. I know. It's the humility for me, right? But I weigh about 145, 150 pounds, depending on how many conchas and pastries I've been eating in the week. Forrest Gump was one of my favorite movies. I like beaches, and I am a midfoot striker. This is not, and this shoe speaks to me. The Vomero Plus is a midfooter's dream. There's plenty in the heel. It's got a very nice bounce and 10 millimeter drop. I should lead with that because that's usually like a deal breaker for some people. I don't care. I like 10 millimeter drops. I don't mind at all. And the 10 millimeter drop tends to make me feel a little push, subtle, but it's there. And that's a word that I would use for the Vomero Plus is subtle. There's a subtle bounce, and there's a subtle push. Unlike the Invincible 1, I can run recovery in the Vomero Plus, but it's also still peppy. And the foam underfoot reminds me of I didn't bring the shoe. I'm surrounded by books. I need to be surrounded by shoes. The Rebel V3. When I was walking in the airport, I was getting there faster than everybody else in the Rebel V3. I was. It's just that little pep, that fuel cell foam from 22. Like, I was getting shit done. If I wore them to work, my work output was more efficient and better than everybody else. And that's the Vomero Plus. The Vomero, you want to get some shit done, put the shoe on. You need to get that lawn mode. This is your shoe. Like, I'm just springy. I'm not saying that I'm walking around with slightly bent knees and with my arms out playing defense because this is how you win championships. I'm just saying that, like, I'm ready to go in this shoe. Like, it's just got that little bounce, that little pep, that little roll. I'm feeling that drop. So, but Joanna, not the biggest fan. Thinks it's a good shoe. Not the biggest fan. Maybe more heel, maybe more power. But if you're, shorter cadence, midfoot, the shoe, mwah. I ran in it the first day. Then I wanted to run in it the second day. Third day, I was like, I need to take a day off. But I really want to run in that shoe. I want to run in that shoe again. Today was the first day that I did not run in the shoe. I had to run in other shoes. But I want to run in the shoe. Comparisons. Because the range is from recovery miles all the way to Steezy, and I would say Steezy pace is maybe like a minute off of marathon pace. Other shoes that can do the same thing are the Mizuno Neo Vista V2, the Puma Mag Max, and the Brooks Glycerin Max. Those are the three shoes, but those are all three shoes that I have put hundreds of miles on. So I have 300 plus on the Glycerin Max. I have 100 plus in the Puma Max and maybe 150 in the Neo Vista V2. They all feel different underfoot. The Puma is really bouncy. The Mag Max, the Glycerin Max is comfortable, but it does have that subtle Brooks bounce. I know it's really hard to describe. I should need to come up with something because if you haven't run in a Brooks shoe, then you'd be like, what's the subtle Brooks, the dull Brooks bounce? I don't know this Brooks bounce you talk about. And then the Neo Vista is the softest shoe. So it's a big marshmallow. And I would say if I was going to go out for a workout, then I would want to wear the Neo Vista V2, which half size down than your normal size for that shoe because it's a big boat and it's very comfortable and soft. Soft is the word, more than comfortable and cushioning. So I do that before the workout and after the workout. So that's the category of shoe that I would put it into. I would say um, I kind of like it most for everyday paces more than recovery, but I can do it for recovery. And my legs are hitting a taper, so I'm not feeling springy per se right now to hit it the steezy paces so much, but it does feel good there. I need to weigh it. I need to compare the weights to all the stuff. Recovery type shoes, big shoes, I don't really care about the weight, generally speaking. I'm not like, oh, the Glycerin Max needs to lose a few ounces and this stuff it's just too heavy. But like actually the Puma Mag Max for a long run would need to lose a little bit if I was going to do a bunch of marathon pace work inside of a long run. The weight kind of adds up over time. So Frank Lahulier says, that's why you get on with Mizuno. Yeah, Mizuno, they speak to me. And Puma, too. I was thinking about all the brands today. And I was like, if I had to rank the brands, that's complicated because every brand has shoes that are really good for their genre or whatever you want to call it, category of shoe. And then they have areas of opportunity in otherwise like Puma's race shoes. I think they're both F1 racers. They're both so light and fast. They're probably my two favorite race shoes, the Deviate Nitro Elite V3 and the Fast Star V3. But how are all the other shoes? And then how do I weigh the race shoes versus the trainers? And am I biased towards Mizuno because I've run more miles and more shoes from them? And if I go deeper and listen to the deep cuts from Adidas, or Asics, the Cumulus will change my opinion, and I'll just be like, oh, Asics, you got to get this Cumulus. It's everything. I don't know. I do know that the new Light Strike, not a huge fan. the soft stuff. I just saw right before I hit live on this live stream, Ed Budd posted a video about the Ray and the softest shoe. Not here for the soft. You can miss me with the soft stuff, guys. I don't. I'm not soft core. I'm hardcore. Firm core. I don't know what you would say, but I don't particularly care. It kind of mutes the experience. And I can say I love the geometry of the Cielo X1 2.0. Absolutely love it. Here for the early rocker. Love the Evo SL. Love the early rocker. But it's a softer shoe. So if I was like, I'm going to run this marathon, I'm going to give it a good, strong effort. I want to be comfortable while I'm out there. And it's good. It's a good shoe. I would take the Cielo X1 2.0. If I was going to be aggressive, if I was going to go for a PR, if I was going to leave it all out there, I'm probably picking a Puma Racer or the Prolo. Those, the one of those two. So we'll see. That's my take on that. I've also got some more shoe talk here, but I don't know. Maybe we'll interject it here. Let's see what you guys are saying. Matt says, so you like the Puma DV8 Nitro Elite 3 over the Wave Rebellion Pro 3? Then, yes. Not the Pro Low. I would put like the three shoes that I would pick from and have no problems with for any race distance. It's the Pro Low from Mizuno, the Deviate Nitro Elite V3, and the Puma Fast Star V3. I didn't try the Tokyo Meta Speeds, so I don't know for those. I know they got softer. The Leap is a little soft. I really like the Nova Blast 5. I don't know if that has Leap in it. I should know. I talk about shoes. It should be my job, but I don't know. But I ran today 9 miles, and I'm doing tests, guys. Okay, so what I would like to do in this shoe space is find daily trainers that complement race day shoes in sort of like geometry, because they're not going to be the same in feel. The race day shoe is going to be lighter, it's going to be springier, it's going to have a better foam, it's going to have better materials, it's going to be lighter. But like the shape of the shoe and your mechanics and how you run, like I think there's corresponding shoes. And it happened because I ran in the here's one example. And then I'll talk about the run today. But the Brooks Hyperion 3. Right. So the way the shoe is shaped and the way that I run, I was like, what shoe does this remind me of? And I couldn't place it for a little while. And then it hit me. I was like, no, this reminds me of a race day shoe. And that's why I wasn't thinking about it, because it's not the foot under the feel, it's the shape of the shoe. It's the Vaporfly 3. And the Brooks Hyperion 3 is wider in the heel slightly, and then like wider in the midfoot, but they have the same sort of shape and they have the same drop. The Hyperion 3 is bigger, or it's more comfortable. It's more padded in the heel collar. So you'll see the Vaporfly 3 right here, and then the Hyperion 3 has a little bit more padding. It's got a more plush tongue. It's a thicker upper. It weighs more. The shoe weighs more. But from my mechanics, they both land kind of the same. And I don't want to say soft, but I will say a tad muted. Like the Vaporfly 3 isn't a soft shoe. It is not as aggressive as the Vaporfly 2. And it's more comfortable for a race day shoe. It's good, it's quick, but it is a little bit muted. And I feel the same thing about the Hyperion 3. It's soft, it's good, it's got a bounce, but I think it would be like a muted Nova Blast 5. Again, as a short king, little guy, okay, Joanna thought the Hyperion 3 was bouncier than the Nova Blast 5. He's not wrong. That's his truth. That's good. But for me, it's not. And they kind of feel that way. So it was like, if I like to race in the Vaporfly 3, maybe I would want to run in the Hyperion 3 and train in it, because it kind of feels kind of feels the same. So the other shoe, I'm actually wearing it. So today I took out the Vaporfly 3 to confirm, and I ran, I did like little tests with one on each foot, and then I also ran in the Pro Low and then the Wave Rebellion Pro 3, and the Pro 3, um, I would say is there's I'm 73 miles in it, and some guy reached out to me, and we had a discourse. We had a long we were talking chapters on the Wave Rebellion Pro 3, and he really wanted to know somebody who would run a lot of miles in it. And he's like, sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. And I was like, same. And I own the shoe, but I feel like it's got a 60 millimeter chunk of foam right in the midfoot. So if I don't have the energy, if my heel lift is not coming up high enough to where I'm landing on the other side of that hill, it's kind of irksome to run in. It's a little clunky. It's not smooth. Then other times I'm just bouncing along. But it's a big shoe. It's a lot of foam. That Energy XP responds really well to kind of reminds me of on cloud strike, boom strike, just that kind of bounce and energy return. So like a bigger dude or a taller dude or someone who's really strong, or a really nice, strong man who sounds like this all the time, that kind of person is going to put power down into the shoe and get a ton of energy return. For me, I get speed from the shoe because of the geometry is just so forward. All right, other example I have today, um, in a similar vein, speaking of the Deviate Nitro Elite V3, is going to be the Wave Rider 29. These shoes, now the Wave Rider 29 is wider, so and of course naturally it's a bigger shoe, so it's going to have more stability elements, or it's just going to be neutral stable, but they have a similar kind of bounce to it, but really the landing up here reminds me of each other. So it's kind of like if was going to race all my races in the Deviate Nitro Elite V3 and I wanted like a daily trainer that kind of felt the same. The drops slightly different. One's the Mizuno shoe is 10 and the Deviate Nitro Elite 3 is 8. But they feel the same. They have that same kind of bounce and lightness. So that it's trippy. I haven't found a way to articulate that. I haven't written down. Am I still going to turn on the camera later and just make shit up as I go? Yeah, I am, but I haven't found a way to articulate. It's the same because it's the internet, and I got to really watch my ass. I can't say one thing because then everyone's like, well, it's whatever. It's like these two shoes are not the same. This race day shoe is much quicker. It's lighter. They're not. These are shoes are nothing alike. There's plenty that's like one's a trainer, one's a race day shoe. I'm just talking about the last. I'm just talking about the way they feel underfoot. So I may lose some people on there. So Stevie76 says NC17 core parkour. Uh, Matt Byer says the Peg Plus is a great trainer to the Vaporfly 4. I'm gonna write that down. All right, the Peg Plus last week. I see why it's an old school shoe. I see why it gets kind of passed up when I have a lot of other options. I'm not reaching for it a ton. And I see why it's like, oh, I'm not going to resell it, but it's just like I'm running in all these other shoes. I need to get the Vaporfly 4. I need to check that one out. I'm waiting for a super sale. I don't think we're on a no buy. Fall's rough. We got birthdays galore. These kids need childhood, and I think I'm the perfect guy to give it to them. But you gotta have money for their birthdays and stuff. So we're not going to be buying any shoes till 2026. That's what I say, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure I'll get on the Supple app, sell a bunch of shoes, and justify it somehow. So, Frank says the $150 Wave Rebellion Pro 2s are almost gone. I like it as a workout shoe. It's a fantastic shoe. I've taken it out a few times this year, even though I have Wave Rebellion Pro 3 and other shoes. I miss it. I really like it. It's a fantastic workout shoe. Maybe have 130, 140 miles in it. It's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Matt Beyer says a couple colorways of the Vaporfly 4 are on sale at Dick's Sporting Goods for 175, 180. Size 9s are in stock. I've gotten spoiled, Matt, with the the Supwell app because I manifest. I almost complained to Joanna the other day. I almost sent him a text and was like, "Hey man, something's wrong with the app. I keep logging in and I'm not seeing any fast RV3s for sale for 150 in my size 9. Can you fix that?" I mean, you don't get the selection, you don't get to say, right? Because people just sell whatever they're selling. And I feel like I've been hitting a lot of 9.5s lately. I wear a 9. All the shoes that I really am interested in trying keep popping up in 9.5. I'm trying to talk myself into it, but I'm not actually doing it. So like 175, 180. Ooh, the last shoe that I paid full price for the Fast Start 3 in Boston because they just dropped. I paid 190 on the Supple app for the Deviate Nitro Elite version 3. I don't know. Oh, and I paid for the 180 for the Mega Blast, which I resold. Now, I usually try not to spend that much money. MK's in here. He says, "Oh man, are you sick, Andrew? You sound a little congested." MK, I am. I'm so glad that I got sick 10 or 11 days from the half marathon instead of 3 or 4 days though, so it's good. I don't know if it's allergies. My wife, she says allergies for everything. Everything is allergies. She's coughing, blood's coming out of her eyes, stuff. I'm like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" She's like, "Allergies. I'm fine. Fine." Half her arm's missing. This is allergies. It'll grow back. Everything's always allergies. Like, what if it actually is allergies? The youngest was sick and he was sniffling. Now I'm sniffling, where I was yesterday. Now I just sound like a man. Now I'm congested. So, but it's funny. I was trying to figure it out. I went for a run yesterday, and the dogs woke me up. It was like 4 in the morning. I couldn't go back to sleep. I was wired. I was like, I'm just gonna do my run. I'm not gonna be able to go back to bed. My heart rate was a little elevated. My pace wasn't great. And I was like, did I lose all my fitness? I took a day off. I lost all my fitness. I was still half asleep. And then later I was like, oh, I'm getting sick. Oh, yeah, that tracks. My HRV has been elevated lately. My resting heart rate is higher. I'm fighting something off, but it was doom and gloom. It was like, yeah, I'm probably going to run a 2-hour half marathon or something. Then I took a nap and everything was good. Matt Beyer says the Supple app is good. Size 9s are popping up more often lately. Yeah, it depends. The 9s kind of go quick, but that's just me. That's just because I'm paying attention to it, but I don't really know. I never go back and check up on other people's shit, so I don't know what sells or what doesn't. It always just seems like everyone's selling and not a lot of people are buying. But I did sell 3 shoes recently, so I mean some people are buying. All right. You know what's also I'm feeling better from the Mega Blast. I was feeling some slight little flare-ups, my hips, the Achilles a little bit, but really it was the peroneal tendonitis was kind of like to the left and right of the ankle, specifically the outside of my right ankle was a little weak. So I was doing little banded exercises and a lot of that stuff. Then I did yoga a few times last week. It's part of the membership, so I do yoga. I did yoga twice. I was like, man, this is the unlock. But I am sore from all the balancing. Like my foot muscles are sore from balancing, and I think it's great. I think it's going to help a lot for my mobility. But it's like a long-term project. Do any of you guys do yoga? Is that part of your thing? I mean, it's enough to get into the gym to do strength work. I don't know if anyone has time for yoga. if you saw any differences in doing that. So, uh, MK, glad you were on the mend from your bug or allergy. Yeah, just allergies. Just allergies. Take a Benny, pop a Benny, and then we're good. Scott and Whaley says, I was sick last weekend and I have my first marathon this Saturday at St. George. I figured better sick last weekend than this one. A goal, survival. B goal, 5:30. C goal, finish. No real expectations. Scott, man, I hope you enjoy that one. I've got some I've got some notes for you. There's your SJD hum for the time being. So I don't know if you've done some recon on St. George, but miles 0 through 7, gentle, early downhill. The race begins with a steady descent from central towards Veo. It's downhill, but not the steepest yet. Run relaxed with a quick cadence and resist going too fast. Think of this section as a warm-up for your quads. Stay towards the conservative end of your pace range. Okay, then 7 through 12, you're going to get into that Veo hill. Okay, the steepest climb. Okay, lasts about a mile, right? From mile 13 to 20 is the extended downhill. This is the most sustained and fastest downhill portion, dropping over 1,000 feet. Okay, so, and then mile 20 to 23 is a gradual descent. Okay, so legs will be fatigued, focus on the rhythm and the efficiency. Final 3 miles entering St. George. It's a little bit warmer there. Fatigue is real. Break it up mentally. 5K to go, 2 miles, 1 mile. Lock into that rhythm. Okay, you didn't ask, but that's the course. Got a guy running it. Dave's running it. I don't know how you are with altitude. I think it starts up at 4,900, ends down near 2,800 feet of elevation. I get destroyed by elevation. I don't. I'm running, like, even in Salt Lake City, I'm a minute slower. I know you're up there, so you're probably adapted. But sign me up for some downhill. That's always a good time. I was thinking about the Sugarland half. I did 5 miles at around 6:07 over the last weekend, and that's the pace that I want to try to hold for 13 miles. I want to go sub 120, really sub 118 or sub 119. But I was thinking about how in Austin earlier in the year, it was the Austin International half, which is 300 feet net downhill, and it was 11 degrees. It was 27 degrees, feels like 11. It couldn't have been better conditions. And I was like, oh, now I'm going to go run in 70-degree weather. Probably not going to PR. My wife was like, yeah, that was last year. It was January. Probably a little bit fitter than then. And I was like, okay. Okay. Jen Piazza says, I have a yoga and foam rolling routine that I try to do 2 to 3 times a week before dinner. Keeps everything loosey-goosey. Well, I love to hear that. As a silly man, anything goosey, silly goosey, we're all for it. I think over time, if there's anyone who could benefit from, I know they say they're like, oh yeah, you don't want to be too flexible for yoga. I was like, no, I'm not flexible at all. So I could stand to just do like a little bit of flexibility to open up the hips. Kuvangs in here says, it's been a minute since I can finally catch a live stream. Hope the nasally isn't anything too serious. Feel better. Yeah, I'm gonna wait a couple of days and then or maybe I'll get tested today for COVID. And then if it is COVID, I won't tell anybody. And then when I race the race, I'll be like, well, I was just getting over the strain of COVID. And then, I've got an excuse packed in. I'm done with excuses, guys. We're done. I don't care if it's 70 degrees. Everyone's running in 70 degrees. People just suffered miserably in Berlin. I don't care if you're 220 pounds and you're attempting a sub 5 minute mile, or if you're X amount of years old and you're doing your stuff. It does, everybody's got something, like it doesn't matter. You know what your constraints are, and you know what you're battling, and you know how hard what you gave. You gave it your all. That's enough. You don't have to say, oh, but it was this and that. I don't know. I'm just going to run really hard, and I'm going to try to pace it very well and run the best that I can on that day. I just, no disclaimers, none of that. Do you guys care? Like, and this is what I mean. This is like, do you guys care about YouTubers or people on the internet? Like, I used to watch people on the internet and you run tubers and YouTubers to learn a little bit about the training that went involved, and like learn a little bit about running. And then, like, as a side note, did they hit their goal? Right? Like, oh yeah, I'm also kind of rooting for this person to hit their goal because I like them, but they're walking me through all this stuff, and then I also kind of want them to hit their goal. And now I've been seeing stuff that's just like, can I do this? I don't care. I don't care if you can hit that. Like, I know everyone's just kind of focused. I know you guys, I say it a lot, you don't care. I mean, you're rooting for me, sure, like you root for anybody, but you don't care. You're invested. I don't care. If they can I run my fastest 10K? Hope so. Am I going to learn anything? Is this going to be about you? Is it informative? Is it entertaining? You got to give me something. Little entertainment. Just me? Okay. Frank says, does St. George get a Boston penalty? It must. I don't know for sure. I'm going to type that in right now. Does St. George penalty? Yes, it does receive a penalty for the Boston Marathon. It's considered a net downhill course, resulting in a 5-minute time adjustment to a runner's qualifying time. Took place. So there we go. Yeah, because it is one of those. You start up and then you come down. It's like point to point. So, but I know it's weird. Like I know I don't know if I would run any faster because I would lose so much from the altitude. In theory, I would get down more towards sea level and be able to be okay. And then like 2,000 feet of down, I don't know how it offsets. I don't know. It would be interesting. I might do one for funsies at some point in time. I know they've got the Jack and Jill or the Tunnel Marathon. They got all those. There's like a whole series, I think, that does the downhills. I've got runners who are okay. So a bunch of runners are coming to do Houston, the half or the full that I coached. I'm really excited about it. And I have in my Discord some runners talking about getting together and doing grandmas. That thing sells out so quick. I don't think we do grandmas this year, but just flying to a place and then driving to a place and then getting to like a real niche thing. I mean, I guess it's just as it comes with its own baggage as a world major does because there's a lot of logistics involved. But I like going to like Houston, for example, stay downtown, run a mile to the start line, get in the corral, it shoots off. It's just nice and easy. So I will run grandmas at some point in time. But and the idea was I heard like Rebel was like, or one of those is like in Washington. It's a lot of travel. I was like, when I got one of those marathons down the street? And I think it's the biggest scam is I think like the SATX marathon, a lot of marathon. I don't know if this is the way everywhere, but like the half marathon, they'll be like $115. Full marathon, 125. $10 more, you get double the distance. Let's go. For most people, for a lot of people, a half marathon is like the marathon, so that's enough for them. They don't 10K 89, no, 5K 89, 10K 99. They're all expensive. I did see the SATX half marathon, which I am running. It's the weekend after the running event, which I'm going to go to, is 175 feet of elevation for the entire half. So I love it. It's downtown. It's the flattest part of the city. So I'm excited about that. It's not going to be a PR race, but it may, it, I, if I'm in the marathon shape I want to be in, then I think it could be a PR, assuming I don't PR here in 70-degree weather. So, Scotton says, thanks. I got to run a bit of my long run 2 weeks ago with two guys who warned me about a secret hill at mile 18. I'm also hitting SA for Xmas. We'll have to get a run together 100%. We will most definitely have to get some runs in. Just let me know whenever you're in town. So, St. George had a high of 84 on Saturday 3 days ago. Today it's 75. STG does have the penalty now. Yeah, I think the weather, when I was talking to my runner, he's from Austin. His name's Dave. So we run in like this very muggy, humid, and hot weather. And, and so when he told me about the weather, both him and I were like, ooh, that's good. I think it was like 50s. And then like once the race ends in the middle of the day, it's still like maybe 60 degrees. Chef's kiss on that one. So Kuvang says, well, AP, I always care about you. Thank you, Kuvang. When you win, I feel like I win because in return you cheer for me. Oh, absolutely, Kuvang. Thanks. Thanks for the kind words. By the way, Kuvang does have a Substack. Does anyone do Substack? I feel like Substack was this political only thing. I don't know. It's the only time I hear about Substack is from like the political sphere. I guess the guy who wrote the marathon owes you nothing. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. He has a Substack, and I went through and I read all stuff. So I guess maybe there are like runners with Substacks. Maybe that's a thing. Who's got time to read? Frank's got time to read. Man, we got time. Well, audiobooks. Our podcast just basically audio Substacks. They're not so sub. I'm not so sub. I don't know. Uh, anyway, let's see here. What time we gotta wrap it up? I might just call it today. I'm glad we got the interruption out of the way early with the break. Hopefully, we won't lose too many people at the beginning. We're gonna continue. Let me know if you want me to do a podcast. I can write on all the stuff and then just put it on Spotify, and then you can take it on your run. If you're like, you know what, I got enough. Jeff Cunningham just started a podcast. Well, BPN, but he's the coach for BPN. I think it's his saying that he always says: consistently good over occasionally great, or it's like the consistently good podcast or something like that. I could listen to that guy talk about running all the time, and then that's why I'm like, well, who would want to listen to me be a silly goose when you could listen to Jeff Cunningham sound like Matthew McConaughey talking about VO2 max? Like, sign me up. You know, him and Steve Magnus. You just turn the camera on and they just start talking. I'm like, okay, yeah, you don't need any effects, you don't need anything. So, oh, MK, you're so nice. This is Andrew greater than Jeff. So, all right, we're gonna call it a day, and then I'll be back next Wednesday. Yes, yes, we're gonna do next Wednesday. So, before, because I'm not leaving till Friday for the race. So, I hope and wish upon you some cooler temps before your race, so you can have some really nice breeze for your suffering in your races. So, till next time, peace.